Hi everyone. This video is very long. It's about 41 minutes, and I cover both paintings that you see here. The second one is a demonstration that I'm going to take further in another video, but this video is long enough and I didn't want to put you through it. In this, I demonstrate all the different ways that you can manipulate alcohol inks, and I hope it helps. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, how are you? Mary here. Something really exciting is happening. Good exciting. I haven't really been putting out a lot of content lately. I've been caught up in many things. Life is busy for us all, I'm sure. But what I have been really trying to wrap my arms around and learn everything I can about are alcohol inks. I've never worked with alcohol inks. I've never been interested in learning watercolor, although that could change. And when I heard about alcohol inks, I really wasn't that interested in that too, until I saw Miriam, with a Y, do her thing. And I think her group is called Miriam's Nature Tribe. Art Tribe, something like that, but it's Miriam with a Y. You'll find her. She's got hundreds of videos out there. She's funny, she's nice. She makes it seem so easy, and she got me hooked. She did. So thank you, Miriam. I know you haven't posted in a while either, and I really hope this finds you very well, and thank you for putting all those videos out there for us. So, okay, let's begin. I'm going to take you into the living room because the light is a little better. This is the studio, and it gets very bright, and it's hard to photograph, to take pictures in here. The great room, the living room in there, it has high ceilings, so I might a little bit of an echo, but I also will. I want to walk you through this. So, before we go down that road, do a lot of homework if you're going to attempt this. Do a lot of homework to see the dynamics of this medium. It is unlike any other in that it's although it's very difficult for me, I'm not going to speak for everybody, to work with the kind of art that I like to do, which is abstract realism. It is very easy to fix your mistakes as well, because you're working with alcohol inks and then isopropyl alcohol 91 to 99%. The other thing is that you must absolutely wear your respirator, because you're working with isopropyl alcohol, and even when you have a well-ventilated area, it can permeate. It permeates the entire, at least this room, and it's not really a small room. But you really want to take very good care of your lungs and your respiratory system and your eyes, and so be very cognizant of the fact that when you're working with you're working with isopropyl alcohol, it just it gets in the room, and what I do is I take a fan and I put it on exhaust out the window so that it facilitates in the room being a little less saturated from the smell. And I keep the door closed, of course, so it doesn't go in any parts of the house. I wear my mask, I wear gloves, and I wear goggles as well, because I don't want it getting into my eyes. There are many ways that you can work with alcohol inks. You can mix them. You can use them alone with the colors, like any paint. You can mix your colors. You can custom mix your colors. You can very much like acrylic pouring is. You can manipulate the ink by using a spray gun. The blower part without any paint in it. You can use a blow dryer. You can just move it around with your hands, as you'll see me do in the demonstration of the final part of this painting. Now, I didn't record this, and I could kick myself for not doing that, because you can paint with it. You can paint with alcohol inks, full strength, or mix your colors, or if you want to dilute it. Some of them are very heavily pigmented. Some are not so. You can work with metallics. You can blend them into something, you know, non-metallic paint and get your effect. It's endless. It's you know, it's endless. The only thing that is, you know, although it can be very challenging to work with because of the nature of, you know, the alcohol, when you put a drop of alcohol down, of alcohol ink down, and you put a, you know, say you take a drop of alcohol, it will push the paint right out of the way. And you'll find that out on your own if you try this, and Miriam demonstrates that as well. And I have a video where I demonstrate that too. I might throw it on at the end of this. So without further ado, let me take you inside, and I'm going to show you the 4 parts of this painting, what I did, and now I will let it sit for a while, and then I will protect it by spraying the finishing the sprays that they recommend to seal it. I'm sorry, my words are not coming out quite right today. We all have days like that, right? Okay, so my point is, guys, have fun. Now, don't invest heavily in this, but get like a couple of, you know, primary colors. Get the primary colors, however many you want. Get your. I urge you, one other thing: don't use a straw, because there's other ways to manipulate this ink, and when you use a straw, you're blowing out, and you could forget and inhale it in, and you don't want to inhale this stuff. It's seriously can hurt you, your whole respiratory area, your throat, and so on. So be very, very careful, okay? Much like you do when you're torching an acrylic painting to get the bubbles out. You want to wear your mask. Safety first, safety first, safety first. Also, I try to keep as much alcohol when I'm working on a piece, with this piece I should say, because it's my very first. I found that if unlike where you can have big jars of water when you're painting and so on, you don't want big jars of isopropyl alcohol hanging around your studio. You don't need to. You can soak them in. You can clean your brush by taking the alcohol. Oops, excuse me, and wetting it with taking your paper towel, soaking it with some alcohol, wiping your brush. That's how easy they are to clean, and the alcohol will also take away any mistakes that you make. So although it's waterproof, it's not isopropyl alcohol proof. So let's start. First, let me explain what I did with this painting, and then I'll show you the demonstration of how I worked the top sheet, how I manipulated it. Very, very simple. And then I think I'll throw the video where I actually just played around with it to show the dynamics of the ink. I'm a newbie, so take everything that I say. I learned from what I watched, and that's what we do. Watch as many videos as you can. I was intimidated by this. Don't be. Just don't be, but please be safe. Okay? So let's go. Let me walk you through this. So I didn't start recording this whole thing. I did record the very top page, but what you're looking at is the underpainting, and that's when this is an opaque plastic sheet of paper that I was playing around with some inks just to kind of check out what they can do, and kind of dripping it and moving it around with the blow dryer and the airbrush. And so I'm showing you the layers that make up this painting, and it took on a life of its own as when I saw that underpainting, I saw something, which I'm always happy when I see something, when I start out with something as abstract as this. So I started playing around, and what I did is I said, hey, okay, I see some trees. This reminds me of some kind of a forest. I love birch trees, so I actually painted these in. Painting with alcohol inks is very challenging, but like I said, the great part is it's easy to fix your mistake by wiping it with some alcohol ink on a swab or paper towel and like that. Easy to get off. So you get better at that as you move along. I found it to become a little easier and easier. So Anyway, so after I saw this, the birch trees and the underpainting, I thought it needed more. I wanted to build it out more, make it more three-dimensional, make it more interesting, give it some brightness, so sort of like a late afternoon kind of a scene, I guess, or early morning. It could be either one. So what I did is I tainted half a sheet of plastic paper, half of it, with a combination of two colors of types of yellow tint. And I just moved around with the blow dryer, and that's it. I didn't do anything else with this. Some airbrushing, some blow drying. Was trying to see, does it look better at the top or the bottom. I eventually chose the bottom would be where it looked the best, and I could get the most effect out of it. It was getting lost up at the top, and plus I didn't want to cover over that purple and the gold that you're looking at. Had a little technical, a little difficulty trying to get all these sheets, trying to make this presentation, because these are plastic sheets. It's not like canvas where you can, hold them up. So I had to take a couple of clips and clip them to this piece of cardboard, poster board, I should say. So as I'm looking at this, so I put the yellow sheet behind it, and I said, wow, I really do like that. So I'm very happy with that, and I'm just showing you how it looked so far. But still, I wanted more. I wanted something more. I liked the shadowing on the trees. I liked the depth behind it. I liked that it looked like there was some sun coming through. Possibly, I'm asking myself, where is it coming through? Decided probably the top, maybe not straight on, but the top, a little bit from behind, perhaps. So what I did is I said, it took me a couple days to decide that I wanted it to be a little warmer, and I wanted to mute down some of that white and make it softer, I should say, and give it more of a glistening autumn kind of effect. So I took some bronze alcohol ink, I put it on a plastic sheet of paper, and I blew it around just randomly, really just randomly, all over the sheet. And I also used a paper towel, which after I'm done showing this to you, I'm going to show you how I did this very, very simple top sheet. It's the only thing that I had a presence of mind to record. Presence of mind, of course, meaning I was so engrossed in the process of this, and I took a lot of time in between each layer before I reached the point where I was happy with it. So now I'm showing this to you up close so you can see it, and then we're going to jump to how I did that very, very simple top sheet. So I'm taking and I'm looking at it here on my table. Then I take off the sheet. This is where I said, okay, this is how I want it to be. It's a and you can see my reflection through there. I have my gas mask, my respirator on, so you can see that I practice what I preach here. I took some brass metallic ink, and I had alcohol 91%. I also have alcohol binder, the alcohol blending solution, which, as I understand it, has a bit of a binder in it. And some cases I use straight alcohol, and in some I have a combination of 50% alcohol, 50% blending solution, and I use both throughout, in tandem, kind of on and off. And so I laid down the alcohol first, and then I put down the brass ink, metallic ink. And I'm putting a paper towel under it so that I could see, also so I could see it better, and also to catch any runoff. I was only going to do the top of this, and then I decided as I was moving along that I really wanted to get this a sheen over the entire page instead of just the top of the trees. I wanted it to be spread throughout the entire page. Thin. Some spots are going to be a little thicker, some spots will be a little thinner, but in reality, the sun's coming through the trees. I always try to consider the light source as, and try to make it at least logical in that respect. So, you know, with the lights coming down from the top and a little bit behind, as I said, the light is going to be refracted, I guess is the word, or it's going to be broken up. It's not going to be one consistent type of shadowing or lighting. So I'm moving around here, and when I said that you can move it with your hands, this is what I meant. Moving the sheet around with your hands, not moving the ink around with your hands. Of course, you certainly can do that, but wear gloves. I'm using the airbrush, trying to get in close, because I found that the brass metallic, and it's probably the same with the gold or the silver, really sticks to that sheet. And that was without the blending solution. So I think it's just the nature of that ink. And I'm a total newbie, guys, so this has just been my experience that I'm passing on to you. So I get in close, and at some point, I'm alternating between the blow dryer and the airbrush. And then eventually you'll see me, once my goal of having full coverage of this is achieved, I looked at it, and as you can see, it looks cloudy on the parts where there is not any alcohol ink or alcohol. So I said, it's not strange. So what I did is I took a paper towel. Once I had this whole thing covered, I took a paper towel and I put some alcohol on it, and I started to dab it. And I noticed that when I did that, that went away. Whether it just, became part of the ink, I don't know, but it did clear up. It went away, and whatever the effect in the paper towel had on it with the alcohol worked. And because I didn't want it to be cloudy, I just wanted it to have a very fine sheen of this color, so that it looked like it was a sort of a late afternoon, early morning kind of a scene. So we're about to get to that now. You're going to see me in about 2 seconds pull out the paper towel and start to pat this down. And I hope that you can see as I move along here how the cloudiness goes away. I don't know if you can see it. I didn't look real close at this before I started doing the voiceover, but that is what happened. And yeah, I guess you can see it as I'm going along here. Spreading it out, I'm thinning parts of the clumps, trying to thin those out. I'm trying not to wipe. I'm trying to just dab and blot. I didn't want to wipe. I didn't want to spread it around. I wanted it to give it a very random feel of how it would normally, of how it would typically come through the trees to the bottom of the floor, the ground, etc. So now this is a really good shot of how you can see that happening here. Quite possibly it had to do with the heat reaction and heating the alcohol and the effect that it had on the plastic. But in any case, it might have gone away on its own. I don't know, but it worked out. Everything turned out good. And as I blotted it until I became happy with it, I dried it, and it didn't cause it to cloud up because it was mostly dry. This does dry quickly as a rule because it's alcohol, isopropyl alcohol inks, metallics, as I understand it, as I keep reading, and from my experience so far, they take longer to dry. They stay tacky until they are, and I found that to be true. And so this was a discovery. This was a journey of really learning this medium, and I have to tell you, it's thrilling. It's thrilling when it comes together. So here I have some. I wanted to show it to you on a a black surface that wasn't filled with marks as the silicone mat is. So I just held that up for you to see. And you can see it pretty clearly here anyway. So I'm just drawing it to make sure, because I'm very anxious to lay it on top and see how it looked. And so yeah, that's what I did. And it was a great experience. And I'm going to get started on my next one, and I will be recording that from start to finish. So be on the lookout for that within the next week or so. So now we've got some shots coming up, guys. This is the end, but not the end of the video. This is the painting, all sheets together, put together as you saw me do in the beginning. I got in close on the painting so that you could see the richness of the color, because when I was looking at it from far away, I said, why can't I, really get that color to pop out the way it is in reality? And I decided to take some close snapshots of it. So there it is. Now let's move on to the final part. Now this is a piece of Yupo paper, and those are my inks. I've been collecting them as I move along. As I said in the beginning, I suggested that you start with just a few colors to make sure that you enjoy it before you make, the investments. Now, I made some investment in this because I really, really like it. Those are some paintbrushes. You don't have to buy special paintbrushes. They come clean very easily when you wipe them with alcohol. There's a pen, a refillable pen that I put some white alcohol ink in with some blending solution and a little bit of alcohol. Screwed it back on. There's a paintbrush tip at the end. You can use that to paint. I use that to paint with. I'm just showing you some of the colors. Now this is a demonstration that I did so that you can see the dynamics or the characteristics of how this medium works. It is very interesting. There's pros and cons, and once you learn what they are, you will be able to master this at some point, as I hope to. What I was showing you is the 91% isopropyl alcohol, the alcohol blending solution. I do 50-50. I bought these little bottles from Amazon. That's a blending pen, which I love. I bought some of these little glass jars that you see in the nail salon, so that I didn't have to, when I clean my brushes, I don't have to have a big cup sitting there while the alcohol is permeating the entire room. You don't need a big cup of alcohol to rinse your brushes with. You can use a paper towel. You dab it in that little cup with the alcohol, and you just wipe it down. If it doesn't all come off, don't worry about it. You can get it at the end. Now, this is interesting because I'm showing you this little palette, and in that palette is some dried ink that has dried, and I'm showing you things. There's a bottle. These bottles come with various tips, which is really cool, and I bought a lot of them, probably bought too many. I didn't realize that they came with so many different tips per bottle, so I really just needed a few. But anyway, we'll see about that. Maybe I'll do some custom blending. There's something also that you can move the ink around in. I don't like that thing. I don't even know what it's called, but people do use it. There's the blow dryer that I move it around with. Try to keep it on cool unless you want it to dry faster. There's my little airbrush machine that I got from Amazon. It works really good. It's great. I do not use a straw for the reasons that I showed you. I mostly use those two. Don't use that, as I said. And then you can move the paper around with your hands too, and sort of go there. I'm going no to the straw. Paper towels, oh my gosh, a must, just like with acrylic pouring. And your goggles, your respirator. I did do some investing in this because, as I said, I really liked it. So as I started to say, that palette that has the dried ink in it, you could reconstitute that, and all you have to do is pour some some alcohol in it, and it becomes fluid again, and you can, so it's not, all is not lost if it dries up. You just reconstitute it again if there's enough in there to do that with. So it doesn't go to waste. I have a Lazy Susan. I found that to be very, very helpful. I was trying to, in the beginning, move the paper around with my hands, and then I remembered, oh, wait a minute, I have this Lazy Susan. I think it's actually a cake, a cake type of a Lazy Susan. Anyway, so here we go. I'm pouring down. Now, my demonstration here is to point out what the ink does when you put the alcohol down first. And also, this is, now watch this. Look at what happens here. It all clumps up, and that's 91% alcohol solution. But look what happens there. It's all clumpy, pebbling up, and I think it's because it's a metallic, and it needs to be blended into a regular type of non-metallic ink. So that was my mistake, and I wiped it off. And I kept that in the video so you could see how easily that wiped off. So, you know, that ties back to fixing your mistakes. It comes off. It won't come off with water, but it will come off with a dab of alcohol where you want it to be. You know, just be careful. So there's my 50-50% alcohol and alcohol blending solution. I'm putting down a drop of alcohol ink on top of that, and then I'm going to put down a drop without it. And I want you to see how the ink moves in both situations. So look at the one on the left and how the ink is moving around. This is purple, which is a very, very highly pigmented color. I love it. And notice how the one on the right side, when I didn't add the alcohol ink first, barely moved. And then when I put the alcohol on top of that, how it pushes the paint, the ink color out of the way. So that's a very interesting dynamic, that even when you're using a paintbrush to, you know, to paint the trees such as I did, you still have to keep that in mind, that if you lay down another color, or you just have alcohol on your brush, you're going to take off or move the paint inward, outward, however you have the alcohol set down. So I'm going to walk you through this piece here. It's an abstract, and it's I didn't have anything in particular in mind except to show you how the ink reacts with various ways to manipulate it with the airbrush, how when the ink dries and you put the alcohol down on it, it will reconstitute, and you can still manipulate it. You can still blow it out even after it dries. You can get some very interesting effects that way too. I could go on and on about the different effects that you can get and the different ways that you can work this ink. It is just endless. I mean, it's limitless. You can do so much with it. So I'm just showing you, I wanted to show you various ways. See how I'm putting the solution of the alcohol outside of it, then I'm putting some teal. I'm going to be blending that into the purple. The only thing with the airbrush is if you get close, you get those little spiky things. I find that if I keep it a little bit further out, it's just a little bit smoother. If I sweep it, it's a little, you know, more rounded, less spiky. I don't like all those. I get frustrated when I'm moving it, and then it kind of pushes up into these little spikes that I have to then fix or smooth out, which is actually very easy, because you can do that by putting more alcohol on it and pushing it back. You can take a paper towel with alcohol, which you're going to see me do at some point, and wipe it off, wipe it down, round it out. You can take your paintbrush when you're, you know, if you have a design that you're satisfied with and you want to see, you want to put some gold in there, you can do that with a paintbrush, which I've actually found works better than trying to push it around on the painting. So as I move along here, I'm going to be doing all kinds of different things to this demonstration, this demo piece of Yepo paper with the various, a couple of different color inks, well, 3 here, but eventually I do use some gold. I'm going to keep pushing it around with the blow dryer, pushing it around with the airbrush, putting some drops of ink in there so you can see how it reacts. I run this through the mill so that you can see how this medium behaves, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to give you a full understanding of how different it is from acrylic pouring, which I do a lot of, but just how kind of quirky it is in a way, in a good way, I should say. So I'm going to be quiet right now and just let you take a close look at what I'm doing. And some points during this, I take a look at it and I see something, then I don't. But I don't want to stop because I want you to see how it can change so fast. And then when you do start to see something, slow down a little bit. And if you want to play on that, and after you've done some, a good amount of practicing, you'll find that you can control it better than you think you can. There's the palette that I have some gold in there, and I'm going to reconstitute it, and I'm going to use my brush, and I'm going to start brushing around some of the edges. And so just take a look at that as well, and stay tuned. Try to stick with it to the end, because then at the very end I do take a paper towel to get an effect, a certain effect that I tripped over by accident, and I decided I liked it. And at the end of this, I actually do see something that I will play upon. I'm going to take this painting further, but not in this video. This is simply for you to take a look at, to watch me do all different types of things that I could think of to show you how it reacts. You will see me use, as you're seeing me now, the paintbrush. You will see me use the blending pen that is refillable with isopropyl alcohol. You will see me just change it dramatically. It doesn't take a lot. You'll see me blending these colors in some instances, and I ran it through the mill, literally. The only thing I didn't do is you can get these little spray bottles. I would not recommend a large spray bottle if you want to, give it, I guess they call it a distressed look, because if you take a small spray bottle and I sprayed this painting, the alcohol, the droplets of alcohol that came out, the spray, would push the alcohol ink out of the way, and it'd be like tiny little circles all over. You'd see the spray as it pushed the ink out of the way, which is a really cool look. I don't do that in here. That's probably one of the only things I don't do. Taking a paper towel and showing you how I could have tinted the entire page with that tone right there, with that color and that tone. I don't, but it's just a way to show you of the possibilities. Using a Q-tip to draw with within it, again, paying special attention to how the alcohol interacts with the ink and pushes it away, blends it in, depending on your level of, how much you have on the tip and what you're trying to go for. So I'm going to stop talking finally. You're probably sick of me already. And just really encourage you just to take a close look. There's a blending pen. I love that blending pen. If you get into this, that is worth it. And when I'm done, there'll be the color that I'm trying to blend will be on the tip, but I just wipe that off with a paper towel with, of course, alcohol. So, okay, guys, I'll see you at the end of this, and I will stick with it to the end, and you will see I want to see if you see what I see at the end, because I'm taking this further, not in this video. You're probably gone or asleep by now, or like, when will she be quiet? Anyway, fast forward to the end if you want, stay, see what I do. At one point it looks like I totally mess it up, and I do that on purpose. Everything I'm doing here, I'm doing on purpose, to show you, again, the possibilities. Thank you for watching as far as you have, guys, and have a really, really great day. Bye-bye now. Okay, we're all done here. I want to thank you for, if you've stuck with me this long. I'm going to take this painting further. I'm going to put some brass or gold or both ink in a little kind of that glass jar. Use a brush, and I'm going to define this because I see a blue rose. And let's see what else. Tell me what you see. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.